How does positive thinking works? How come positive thinking sometimes works and sometimes it doesn't work? Hello everyone, brothers and sisters, good to have you here. Sagi, thank you for coming back to my channel. If you're here first time, I really appreciate that. Let's talk a bit today about positive thinking, positive affirmations, the power of the mind, how those things work in our reality, how do we attract the reality, how do we create it, and how come sometimes it seems to work, sometimes it doesn't seem to work. So, first of all, let's begin with the duality that we have on Earth. The polars that we are experiencing here are in everything. Up and down, black and white, day and night, masculine and feminine, positive and negative. I'm gonna just touch those things briefly. There are more videos that I've already created about the subject. You're welcome to scroll and check them out. It will give you a bit more better understanding of what it means, but let's stick today just with a positive and negative. So we got two powers. We got the positive powers, which is the power of attraction, the power that creates, let's say, the power that builds up, and we have the power of the negative force. This is the power of manifestation. This is a power that creates a void, that destroys even, and both are necessary as we go on our evolutionary path. Correct? We sometimes need to destroy something in order to build anew, or we need to destroy something in order to take it apart and bring it back to its very natural state, or the foundational state of what it is made of, so we can use it. This is what we are doing every day when we are eating, for example, or when we are putting any substance into our body. Then we are taking it apart so we can use the atoms, the foundations of what it's made of, so we can use it for our body, so we can use it for continuing life here on Earth. So that negates, or that pushes aside the whole conversation of good or bad, right? This is two forces that are important in our life, the positive and the negative. So when we are talking about positive thinking, and this took me a long time, by the way, to figure out how this works. Yeah. In the beginning too, when I was just going through spirituality and learning everything what's out there, learning how the universe works, how energy flows, how can I create my own reality. Throughout many years of building that foundation and that understanding and that connection with this world, I too tried to sit in mantras and with certain affirmations, and it didn't seem to work all the time. You can probably relate to that. Sometimes it didn't even work at all. Sometimes it even brought the opposite of what I really wanted. So it took me a while to understand that, first of all, what the very basic ingredient of all of this is having no doubt. That's a really important thing in positive thinking. Now, having no doubt, that's a big issue on itself, right? But what it means fundamentally is that you do believe in what you say and what you think. This is the only way that positive thinking can draw to you really what you want. Because how the mind is functioning is as follows. The mind is there to divide everything that you experience. It divides, it separates, and it puts it in compartments. This is what we call compartmentalizing thinking. It puts it in drawers, it puts it in subjects or in folders, as you know from your computer, right? So it does that. And then it connects those with other folders. So, for example, and the very main ones, or the very basic ones, is pleasure and non-pleasure, what I enjoy and what I don't enjoy. And then the mind, its job, or the job that it took upon itself, is to enhance that. It's to enhance whatever it is that gives you pleasure. So it will reinforce upon reality whatever it connects in your brain, whatever it connects in your experiences with pleasure. This brought me pleasure, this didn't bring me pleasure. What brought me pleasure, I will enhance and I will look to make more in my life, and what didn't bring me pleasure, I will push away and I'll try to avoid. This is the positive and the negative, correct? So it wants to enhance the positive. It wants to serve you. Now, this comes now, another important part. The mind cannot read your mind. The mind only follows what it perceives. So, if you are under an impression that something is pleasurable, your mind will stick to that and will look to enhance that. Now, you definitely have had this experience already in your life, that things are changing, and what is pleasant for you today was not pleasant for you 10 years ago, and probably it will change, and in the future you will find other pleasurable things, right? So it's always important to be in self-communication. This is actually what we call observing, or being in an observation. It's being able to look into yourself and to have the clarity to determine what is serving you and what is not serving you, what is pleasant for you and what is not pleasant for you. And this is a question, or this observation is a constant thing. We always need to come back to it and ask ourselves, am I sticking to that path? Am I continuing with with that things that I feel that are pleasurable for me, or maybe right now they're not pleasurable for me anymore? Maybe I've changed my mind, or I've had enough, or I've had a different experience, or I want to have a different experience. So the mind is constructed in a way that it will serve whatever is pleasant for you, and it will try to draw more from it, to create more from it. And whatever is unpleasant to you, it would make sure that it's not going to be on your path. It will reject it. So constantly ask yourself, what gives me pleasure, what doesn't give me pleasure? And when you have that clarity, ask yourself, okay, if this gives me pleasure, am I sticking to that? Am I continuing with that? Or maybe this is something false. For example, in my life, I've learned that sweets are not giving me that pleasure anymore. It was a certain way when I was a child, and sweets were connected through my brain with other experiences where I was successful, or where I got the attention or the love of my parents or of somebody important in my life. So I had this connection between sweets and pleasure, right? And as I grew up, I started to see how it affects the way that I think, how it brings me to this soaring highs and then drops me so low that it completely disrupts the harmony of life which I want to have. So I started to let go of pleasure, the pleasure of sugar or the pleasure of sweets. I've replaced that in different ways or in different venues. So ask yourself what is pleasurable for you and what is not pleasurable for you, and then make the changes accordingly if you find it necessary. All right, so now we understood that the mind will enhance whatever it is pleasurable for you. So you must be sure about that, because if you're not sure, which is what I had at one point with the example I gave with sugar, then the mind is not sure. If you are not sure, then the mind is not sure. Therefore, it will not work, it will not function anymore as it used to. And this is why I said in the beginning, you have to believe. This is the only way positive thinking works, is if you truly believe and if you truly stand behind your belief system. because the belief system is the foundation for the brain to work. It's the software. Yeah? This is the program. The brain is programmed, and it works on certain programs, and that programs is your belief systems. And if you truly believe in something, only then the brain can turn it into reality. So another important thing would be to work on your belief system, right? In Hebrew we say emun and hitamnut. So we call believing and practicing in Hebrew, they are related. They have the same root. They come from the same root. Believing is and practicing. So believing is practicing. When you practice enough, and this is what they do with us from childhood, this is what they do in churches, right? This is what they do in schools. They take you and they put you in some sort of training, and that training is mostly mentally, and that training builds up a belief system. And now it's time to observe those belief systems and to replace whatever program doesn't serve you anymore, much like, you know, an update on your phone. This is how it works. When you update your phone, you update a new software. The old software recognizes that it cannot fully continue functioning, not with the new features, not with a modern way of things. It has to replace its software, or it has to update the system. Much as you do for your phone, much as you do for your computer, you are asked to do with your brain. First of all, recognize what doesn't serve you anymore. Let that be. It's easier said than done, but at least we are talking today about the steps. You recognize what doesn't serve you anymore, and you let that be. Once you let that be, you replace it with a new program. That's another video to do. How do I do that? But again, we're just speaking about the basics today. So you need to replace your thought process. You need to replace the belief systems in your head. And once you've done that, then you know, then you can stick with it. And once you can stick with it, then you create it in this reality. This is how manifestation works, or creation. Let's call it more creation. Manifestation is something a bit different. I'll talk about it. I've been talking about it in other videos of mine. So you create your life by believing, recognizing what's serving you and not serving you, and then believing in what does serve you, and then allowing it to happen. And this is another important rule. Allow it to happen, which means it might come to you in a way that you haven't expected. Why? Because you've replaced the program. You have updated the system, and now the system works a bit different than what you have been used to. So you need to expect the unexpected. What does that mean? It means just allowing something to surprise you and not rejecting it immediately. Remember, we go back to the first rule of acceptance. I accept how things are in my life. This is the very first step into conscious life, into conscious living. I accept. So you accept the new reality that flows into you. Part of you might want to reject it because it's new, because you have stepped into a certain unknown. And part of you would like to reject it because it's not familiar with that. And you're asked to let go of your guard. Let it down and accept reality coming back to you with that new thing. And then once you allow that to happen, then you can recognize, aha, this is actually what I've asked for. I might have expected it in a different way, but this is actually what I've asked for. Let me give you an example. Let's say that I really want to manifest a car. I really want a car, right? So they teaches us to be very particular with what we want, to visualize that, and to see myself driving in the car, and what type of car it is, and what color it is, and all of that. It's true. But then if you want it to come to you, then you have to let go of that image, and you have to accept what first come into your reality, and that might not be that car that you've been expecting or wishing for. Why? Because when you break it down, and this is where belief systems are coming from. Belief systems are built on, it's like a pyramid. What is it that you want a car for, right? What's in the base of it? So maybe you want to be able to get from one point to the next. This is probably why you want a car, right? You want to have this independency where you can just go somewhere. The next thing is maybe you want to show off, or maybe you want to give yourself a certain gift and you want to feel good about yourself, so you want that particular car. So you need to build up that, or to have that understanding, and this is communication between you and yourself. You need to have the communication and to build up that pyramid of knowledge about who you are, how you think, and why you want the things that you want. Because once you create that, once you let that go and allow reality to bring it to you, then it might not in the beginning come to you as you've expected, because the universe is reflecting you, is reacting towards you. And if in the base of the things is that you need a car because you want to get from one place to the next, it will probably create, first of all, exactly that. It will get you from one place to the next, and you need to be able to allow that to come into your reality and to embrace it, to enjoy that, to appreciate that. Oh yeah, I wanted to be able to be mobile, to be able to transition myself from one point to the next, and here I can do that. So I don't have a car yet, but maybe my neighbor, suddenly I figure out that my neighbor is so happily driving me from one place to the next almost every time I want. That's great. And you are asked to appreciate that first and foremost. That is building up that pyramids towards really receiving what you want. So you continue knowing what you want, you continue drawing it into your life, but it comes to you brick by brick, so you can build that up. All right? So allow that to come into your life and recognize this. Recognize, oh yeah, this is already one step towards my dream. Here, I got the lift from one place to the next, or somebody is suddenly offering me this and that, and it's a mean of transportation. Or maybe I'm available. There's a different car that is available for me. This is not exactly the one that I wanted, but it comes. So you don't have to jump and buy that car, but what you ask is not to reject it. Yeah, not to just reject it and say, oh, this is not what I wanted. Why don't I get what I want? First of all, see how the universe is communicating back with you and starting to give you what you want. So maybe this wasn't the car of your dream, but you're getting there. Maybe you're already on that path and there's a car available for you. So at least have that joy and appreciation in saying, oh, that's amazing. I am creating that. I got myself a car. I'm already one step closer to that dream car that I've visualized in front of my eyes. All right? Allow that to be built step by step, because the physical reality is slower and denser when we are in spirit. On the mind, visualization, we are able to see and get things like that. But then when they need to come down to earth and to manifest themselves here in this physical reality, it will take longer. It will take time, it will take effort, it will take energy. This is what energy is all about, is bringing it from the spirit world, where it's amorphic and very, very, very translucent and very airy-fairy, and bringing it through the energy, where the energy is becoming denser and denser, coming down to this reality, and truly creating it in this reality takes time, takes effort, takes money, takes energy. All right? Allow that to be built in that fashion, brick after brick, step after step, and it would only happen when you can recognize that, and recognize that with appreciation. Oh wow, oh, that's awesome. I'm one step closer to my dream. That's really great. All right, guys, you are one step closer to your dream. If you like that video, please press the like button, send it to a friend. Give me back some of that love. Love you.